I know, this gaming PC that you're looking at here already looks pretty decent. To be honest, there's a good amount of money in this build the way it is, but in today's video, I'm gonna show you how you can spend just $30 and transform any PC, no matter what the budget is, into an absolute beautiful piece of art. We gotta check this one out immediately. Let's get into it. Hey guys, real quickly, I just wanted to let you know that my brand new website, ZachsTechTurf.com, is now live. From now on, I'll be selling all of my PC builds that you see in these YouTube videos here on the website, including the build that we're about to take a look at. There's also some cool information on there, and I'll be adding more to it. Link is down in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the cat may already be out of the bag just with that quick little montage that my editor chopped up, but if that wasn't crystal clear to some of you, the best $30 that you can spend in terms of aesthetics on any gaming PC is of course some cable extensions, which you guys know I use in every single build guide, but also a cheap can of spray paint to pull the entire build together. Starting with the cable extensions, unlike the more expensive custom cables that you can plug directly into the back of a fully modular power supply, these extensions simply add on to the cables of literally any power supply that you want. I do get a lot of questions about this. I'm pretty sure there's no noticeable risk when adding extensions, certainly nothing to worry about at least, and you can spend anywhere from just 10 to 30 bucks on these, and they make such a big difference. There are indeed some really cheap $10 to $15 versions from brands like KuCat, but I've used some of those before and they aren't nearly as good as brands like Asiahorse, which usually cost around $26. The difference in price of cable extensions goes into things like how bendable it is, how easily it holds its shape, the quality of the actual cables themselves, and of course how accurate the colors are. I like to use Asiahorse, especially the color versions that also include colored cable combs like this one, but then to match the color scheme of your extensions and cable combs, you gotta throw in a simple $5 can of spray paint as well. Adding some small accents to a typically neutral looking case like the Corsair 4000X can really bring this thing together. Everything that you're seeing that's purple used to be just boring and gray, and now it looks baller AF. This 4000X definitely made it easy for me as all the gray parts are easily removable. This makes spray painting about as easy as it gets, but if you're using a case that isn't like this, then you can simply tape off the parts that you don't want to paint, but just make sure you don't overdo it. Unless you're doing like an OEM Optiplex build like I've done in the past where you just spray paint the entire thing, I think the best thing to do is just paint tiny accents around the build like I did today, and that'll really just tie the color scheme together nicely. So yeah, that's basically it. For $30, you can get yourself some cable extensions and a cheap $5 can of spray paint, and that can turn almost any gaming PC into a much better looking build. But now for those of you that want to see the rest of the parts inside this build and how it performs, let's start getting on with that. As you've probably already noticed, we got a ton of help from Corsair today to include the 4000X case, an MP600 1TB SSD, which is a monster NVMe Gen 4 drive. They also send over a CX650M power supply, a white H100i Elite Capell X240 AIO, and also a bunch of QL120 white fans, which look amazing and are arguably one of the best looking RGB fans on the entire market. The reason why I'm using a ton of Corsair parts today is because they're actually the sponsor of today's video along with Intel, and today kicks off Intel Gamer Days, which you need to know about. Intel Gamer Days starts today and goes through September 5th, and there are an absolute ton of Corsair and Origin PC deals that are available. I'm only showing the US deals because that's where I live, but just know there's even more deals around the globe, so check those out if you're interested. To quickly rattle off some of those before we get back to our build here today, basically most of the Corsair AIOs are around $10 to $15 off, and there's some serious Origin PC deals to include their gaming laptops and desktop gaming PCs, and you can save around $150 to $200 on those. I'll have all the links that you need to save yourself some money down in the description, and don't forget to check out the giveaway bundles that they're running that feature both Elgato products and Corsair peripherals that can take your gaming and streaming setups to the next level. You guys know I love my Corsair and Elgato products. I really rely on them for my own Twitch live streams, but yeah, big thanks again to Intel and Corsair for sponsoring today's video. Links in the description. All right, so moving down our own parts list for the CPU, which I somehow haven't talked about this far into the video yet, is the Intel i5-11600K, and this is an absolute monster of a CPU that's rocking 6 cores and 12 threads with a nasty max turbo of 4.9 GHz right out of the box. You definitely want to make sure you pair a CPU like this with a proper motherboard, and that's why I chose this MSI Z590 Mag Tomahawk Wi-Fi. This motherboard is rocking some serious heatsinks and VRMs for overclocking. I probably should have tested this myself, but you guys know how I roll at this point. There's also Wi-Fi 6E, 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and finally the aesthetic of this board is definitely on point. If you were to copy this CPU motherboard combo, or just go out and buy any CPU motherboard, I would definitely recommend you buy them from Micro Center because of their combo deals. Big thanks to Micro Center for sending out this combo today. You guys know that I'm basically a kid in a candy store when it comes to shopping at Micro Center, and once again, I'm gonna use my small platform to voice the opinion that Micro Center definitely needs to open up a shop here in Pittsburgh. I'll single-handedly buy enough stuff every month to pay for the lease. Moving on, next up we have a new RAM kit to check out. This is actually from Lexar, and it's a 2x16 gigabyte kit that's clocked at 3600 megahertz, and since I had no clue Lexar was making baller looking RGB RAM kits, I definitely wanted to let them send this one out. Lexar makes some other RAM kits that you may have seen before already. This is for non-gamers and performance users like us though, so it's nice to see them jump into this new arena, and honestly, I really like the aesthetics of these sticks. The RGB themselves are super bright and smoothly diffused. The XMP profile worked perfectly fine. The RGBs were controlled with ease using MSI's motherboard software. It's a nice set of RAM kit here indeed. And then finally, the last part we have here is the GPU, which I saved for last in like all these build guides. Sorry, I'm a couple weeks late to this, but this is the freshly launched RX 6600 XT. This card specifically is the Power Color Hellhound version. Huge thank you to Power Color for sending this one out. And although the 6600 XT didn't get a very welcome launch from the community, I'm definitely glad that I got my hands on it. The entire GPU market is jacked up right now, as we all know, but I'm gonna continue to say things like it looks like it's getting better. I'd much rather see a card like the 6600 XT being launched right now compared to something like a 3090 Ti Super or something really high end, but we definitely need to see how it performs in this build. Before jumping into the benchmarks, I do want to quickly address what some of you are probably thinking. This is definitely not an optimized price to performance gaming PC. You definitely don't need to spend like $1,400 on a build that only has an i5 and 6600 XT in it. That's honestly kind of overkill. Hopefully you can figure out that a ton of the budget went into the aesthetics of this one, so no, I don't need to hear about that in the comment section. Without further ado, here's what the benchmarks for the i5 11600K and 6600 XT are looking like, and as you can see, this combo absolutely crushes 1080p high to ultra gaming. Numbers like 82 FPS in 1080p ultra on Assassin's Creed Valhalla and 214 FPS in Apex Legends certainly prove that although this card is marketed as a 1080p graphics card, this can certainly handle 1440p gaming, and I may just upload a video on the ZTT Extra channel for that. Make sure you're subscribed to that second channel, by the way. Well, that's gonna wrap up this video today. Make sure you let me know if you're gonna try to copy my $30 aesthetic upgrade guide, and also definitely be sure to let me know down in the comment section what you thought of how this build turned out. If you want to see another high-end gaming PC build guide, then feel free to click the video that's on the screen now. But just like always, I hope you enjoyed this video.